Hey folks, so I am starting on a new project and I thought I'd share it with you all. So I found the other day a discount on a pre-owned Creality Halot One 3D resin printer, which is in this box here, and I decided to finally take the plunge. I am getting into 3D printing. Again, I've messed around with FDM printers in the past, but they really aren't up for what we need for resin printing in the miniature hobby. So I am gonna get set up here. As of the time of filming this, I'm still missing a couple of items that I want to have on hand to really be able to get my station set up the way I need. So I will be probably cutting this with some other video to get the full experience. But today I'm going to be setting up the printer. I also splashed out for a wash and cure from Elegoo. So let's crack things open and see what we have. So first up, we have the Creality printer, which comes with a bunch of goodies and accessories, which we have here. And I think now this is a kind of pre-owned unit, so there's going to be some bits and pieces in this, I expect, that may not be as well wrapped as they usually are. This is a boot tray I saw on another YouTube channel. I can't remember which one now, that it's great just to give confidence that there's not going to be any spills or anything like that. So I've already got that in place. Yeah. Okay. All right, I think that is everything. So in here we have our build plate. Okay. So my intention is to make sure that I have a really good dedicated build space to this that minimizes setup and breakdown, makes it as easy for me as possible to just dive in and get printing. Chosen a little corner of this space to get this all together. Now, the overhang of the units is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we'll make it work. All right, so looks like it powers on. Power is on at the back. We've got our little Creality dude on the front. I'll turn this around so you can see that. Here's the boot screen. Little scraper for getting prints off the build plate. USB stick. I'm assuming that's going to have maybe some firmware and probably be used for file transfers. Now, I have already been messing around with Lychee Builder to get some prints that I've purchased online ready to go. So let's see how we go. I'm actually going to read the instructions because I don't really want to screw this up. So, in addition to the Creality, which I got a decent discount on, I've picked up some nitrile gloves for use to avoid getting the nasty resin on my hands. I have in here as well the eponymous pickle jar that seems to be used for an initial wash in isopropyl alcohol. And to begin with, I'm going to just be using Anycubic basic grey resin, which I took to be a fairly simple, not too expensive resin to try on my initial prints. Alright, so after a little bit of technical difficulty, we are back again. So, in addition to the Creality Halot One, which I got kind of pre-owned, I decided that I really didn't want to have to mess about with a bunch of different cleaning stations and a UV setup and all of that. So I opted to go for an all-in-one wash and cure kit. And the one that I went for is the Elegoo Mercury Plus here. So I cracked this open on camera, but not on camera because the camera wasn't filming. But it's here now, and I only got partway through it, so just going to quickly open all of this up. So we've got more Allen keys. I do love me some Allen keys, so plenty of those to keep me entertained. Operator's manual seems pretty hefty. Yeah, this is nice. It's one of those ones that's comprehensive enough that you're not going to need to then consult everything online in any case. We've got our power cable. I will just untangle this and get it plugged in, ready to go. Okay. This is quite a short cable, actually. I'm glad I'm so close to the power outlet. That's why it's so short. Transformer broke. So we've got our little spinny template for the spinny turntable for the curing here. Looks like it's got some protective layer on it. I guess looks like it's a transparent turntable. I don't know why, for some reason I thought it was mirrored, but it may just be that the regular surface is mirrored to bounce those UV rays off of the ground. Make sure you get an even cure all round. So that's ready to go. We've got a hook here. Now, actually, one thing I was curious about, obviously, Creality and Elegoo are different companies, but I was curious as to whether this would actually work with the Creality build plate, because if that is true, if it does, then that's going to be a nice little bonus, so we will find out shortly. Okay, so opened all of that up. Inside here, and by the way, this was much better wrapped. You just missed me unwrapping it. So we've got a kind of fairly standard Tupperware wash station with a very, very staticky basket there. So running out of flat surfaces pretty rapidly here. Lift that off. So I'd actually not seen how the stirrer in this works before. I wasn't sure what this would look like, but basically what it has two magnets that will magnetize to the turntable here, and it will spin as this spins, but without actually having a physical connection through. Oh, and you can feel the magnet there. It's pretty strong, which is nice. Nice lid that you can stop yourself losing all of your IPA to evaporation, which is always good. Pretty tight fit, which is reassuring. I'm not entirely sure how long these latches are going to last because it seems like the connection's a bit weak, given how strong the hold is. Now, I'm going to pop that to one side. Interesting. Oh, there we go. Trying to locate those two pins is a little tricky. It might be easier with this being able to see what you're doing. So, yeah, much easier when you can see through it. I think not mirroring the turntable itself was probably a good call on that basis. Hey folks, so I've been playing around with this a little bit more. I got the firmware updated on the Halot One. One of the things to know about the Creality Halot One, or in fact I think any of the Creality resin printers, is the firmware definitely needs updating when you get it, and even then it can be a little iffy. Also, the Creality's own splicer is not the best. Fortunately, it now supports lychee, so you can just go ahead with lychee if you're wanting something a little bit more reliable. I've messed around with that already a little bit and really quite like it. It's pretty straightforward. So now I'm just trying to put a little bit of order. I'm not going to be starting printing today. I'm still waiting on a couple of items that I really feel I should have to before I get started. So I'm just kind of tidying things up. Pop this back there so that it's accessible. I have not yet tested this out, so let's get this set up. Let's try for the curing first. So the turntable is on. I'm just going to put this on. I believe this has a sensor on it to prevent operation with the lid off. UV is not great for you in general in high levels, so this is a decent safety precaution, hoping that the lid itself actually does filter UV. So we can switch mode between rinse and UV light and rinse mode. I'm going to go with UV light. I'm going to give it a minute and I'm going to go. And there we go. It's the turntable is operating. Lights are on. Looks pretty good. And we'll switch mode. And for this, I will switch out what we have equipped. So I'm going to pop that back in there. out this, pop it in place. I do not currently have isopropyl alcohol for this, but just do a test run and see how it performs. Yeah, not going to run that for too long without any liquid, it might cause issues. Okay, there we go. They're actually both a little bit noisier than I was expecting, really. I know that filament printers, which I'm used to, tend to be quite noisy just by the nature of what they are and how they operate, with a lot of mechanical moving parts. I know these use a lot less in the way of mechanical parts, but it looks like they have quite strong venting in place, which is, I guess, why they are so noisy. Those fans are running pretty much constantly, so that's my assumption as to why it's a little bit noisier. But this isn't an area of the house that I'm frequently in, so I can kind of set it up, go and maybe just check back every so often. So there we go. I will be back shortly to run my first test print. Well, folks, I'm back again. I have just picked up some industrial quantity of isopropyl alcohol, which is going to serve me well for this project and means that I can actually get started with some printing. So, I'm going to do a couple of initial steps. We're going to get this IPA into our containers. I haven't actually started the print run yet, but I want to have this all ready to go before I actually start printing, so here we go. Now, do remember when working with isopropyl alcohol, it is flammable, so you do not want to leave this stuff in sunlight or anything like that. I do have a window just here, but I will actually be putting this stuff out of the line of sight of the window so that it does not combust between sessions. So pickle jar is for our initial wash, and then the cube wash here. And I think, remember, you've got to have some volume available for the resin that's going in. That's going to displace some of the liquid, so don't overfill these, otherwise you're going to get IPA everywhere. It's not quite a full load. This stuff does also evaporate, so keeping the lids closed when you're not actually using it is also not a bad idea. I'm just gonna Alright, so we are now calibrating our printer. We are going to set the configure the print bed, so we need to loosen up all of these screws so that we are got nice free movement there. Get a sheet of paper that is the right width. So nice thin sheet of paper here that can used to calibrate the width of the machine. So we're going to have that in place. We are going to select leveling. Okay, so that is in contact. So the next thing we need to do is apply pressure to the base so that it doesn't move. We're going to tighten up, just finger tight the diagonals. And again with the other diagonals. And then tighten it a little bit more aggressively. Make sure it's not going to move during the print because that will cause print failures. Okay, that's pretty tight on. Pop this out of the way. So we are leveled and ready to go. So once again, I'm using the Anycubic Basic Grey, which was just what I happened to find. And we're going to pour that in. There are little markers at the back to give you an indication of how much resin you have left. Just pour this in nice and slowly, try and avoid bubbles. Fill that just to the highest level marker. Still a little bit left in. That's fine, we can top it up later on. Pop that in. I've got some notes on what I'm going to do for my initial settings. I'm starting with the 50 micron build heights because I want to ensure that I get a result as quickly as possible. It's going to be a much faster print than the 30 micron, and it's going to just give me the feel goods of having hopefully printed something or less time to troubleshoot. And I really think that the 30 micron will just be a refinement of the 50 micron settings. So go to print. We're going to start with our matrix 50. We want the local version of it. We've got the settings here. It looks like it's expecting to take about 11 minutes. It's a very, very shallow build, so that's not surprising. Thickness of 50 micrometers and 29 build layers, so really not a lot of build layers there. We're just going to go to the settings, and for my initial exposure, I will leave that at 40 seconds. Bottom exposure layer I'm going to put up to 5 layers. And exposure time, I'm going to drop this down to 1.7, which I am expecting from the research I've done to be about right. To turn off delay, I'm going to drop to 2 seconds, and the motor speed I'm going to put up to 3 millimeters per second. I think that will be fine. I don't think that should have too much issue on the build. It will speed things up a little bit. The last setting is the rising height, and I'm going to keep that at 6 millimeters. So that is how much the plate lifts after curing a layer before going back down to cure the next layer. So I think that is okay. I am going to snap a quick photo of these settings, just so that I definitely have a record of what I've done on my initial print. And here we go. So I will cut there as we descend into the depths, and we'll see how this print comes out. See you in a bit. We have the print. As you can see, it's still pretty shiny and tacky even after curing. I think we probably need to increase that cure time a little bit. Also, there's a lot of lift off of elements, which I suspect is from that build plate moving too quickly. So definitely a little bit of calibration to do, but this is looking pretty on point. The intersection there is very precise. The widths of elements is pretty good. So that is reassuring. A little bit of refinement and we'll be there, I think. Please do consider liking this video, maybe even subscribing to the channel. Those things are really helpful to me. And remember, you can find out more of the stuff that I'm working on right now on my Instagram account at Raggy Paints. I also have a blog that you can check out, link to that in the description below. And if you are interested in buying some resin bases, check out the affiliate link I have for Elric Hobbies. That is 10% off your entire order there. And please, please, please do help out my buddy Sky. He has a family-owned store that is in Boulder Creek, California, and it does online retail as well. He's a really nice guy, and if you want to try it out, you can get $10 off your first purchase using the affiliate link below there. So that is Herrick's Games and Hobbies. Really nice guy, great customer service, absolutely worth checking out. But for now, as always, thank you for watching, and later days.